Hi everyone, I'm just going to start off this video by showing you what the end result is going to look like this time. Because by the end you're going to be able to do this. What it's doing is it's drawing using the pen, and it's drawing a wall of bricks. And it might look complicated, but this is one of the purposes of this is to show you, first of all, a specific skill, which is using loops, but also to show you that in programming, a complicated task, like drawing a brick wall, is really just about breaking it down into smaller, more manageable, less complicated parts. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'm going to show you first just some stuff about loops. That's also known as a repeat in Scratch, and then I'll show you how to get started making that brick wall. So first of all, a loop is the programming term for what Scratch calls a repeat block. So a loop in programming is just a piece of code that repeats itself, right? There's some sort of thing that makes code run more than once, and there's a way to control how many times it repeats. In Scratch, the three different ways that you can find that is a repeat until block that repeats until some condition is met, a repeat number block, the default is 10, a repeat number block that repeats a specific number of times, and a repeat forever, it just says forever. And you've seen this before because sometimes I've pointed out that instead of a repetitive string of blocks like move, turn, move, turn, move, turn over and over again, you can just take that move, turn and put it inside a repeat block. And you've also seen an example of this at least once, but I didn't really talk that much about it. But a repeat until block just repeats until the condition inside this diamond shaped thing is met. So the condition here is x position equals 175. So in this example, this repeat move one steps, it's going to keep moving one step until the x position of the sprite equals 175. So it'll stop once it gets to 175. And you can do that with any diamond-shaped block. You can put that inside this space, and you can put code that will repeat until that condition is true. And I mean, this is pretty straightforward. Repeat blank, if it has a space for a number, it just repeats that many times. And repeat forever is pretty straightforward. It just repeats forever, or at least until you quit the program. So overall, if you read the blocks, they do what they say. However, sometimes there are things that you might not at first glance realize that you can even do with loops. One of the things that you'll need to know how to do to build that brick wall is you can put loops inside loops, also known as a nested loop. And what happens is the outer loop repeats the inner loop. So if you think about what a loop does, it just repeats everything that's inside it. Well, what's inside this repeat 10? Another loop that repeats twice. So what it's going to do is it's going to move 10 steps. Because it's in a repeat, it's going to move 10 steps again. And then, so that's just 20 steps, right? You could think of this chunk, this whole repeat 2, as just move 20 steps, right? That sort of chunk of code that has the repeat 2 block and the move 10 steps, that basically just means move 20 steps because you're repeating 10 times 2. 10 times 2 is 20. Okay. Then take that move 20 steps and repeat it 10 times. Well, that means move 200 total steps because 10 times 20 is 200. So you end up, it'll move 200 steps. And this is a really simple example, and it really doesn't look like a very useful example, because why wouldn't you just say move 200? But in the upcoming examples where you build the brick wall, there will be times when you need to repeat something and then repeat that repeat. So here's one example of how you can get started with using nested loops to make that brick wall. And when I talked about breaking it down into smaller steps, this is what I mean by that. a brick wall, that brick wall drawing is just a bunch of rectangles. So can you draw a rectangle? You definitely know how to draw a rectangle. We've already done that. So first, create a brick by just drawing a rectangle, and that's what this chunk of code right here does. After that, you're going to need to add bricks together. You're going to need to combine bricks together to make a row of bricks. And that's sort of this example is just to demonstrate that as you, so there's this sort of move 20 steps to move over to the side, right? Because you have a brick, you can't just keep drawing the brick in the same place over and over again. You have to move over, draw a brick, move over, and draw another brick. So that's what this move 20 is. And then this difference here is just to demonstrate that the outer loop, notice the outer loop is what changes here. This one says repeat 2, this one says repeat 4. Notice there's 2 bricks here, 4 bricks here. So it's just to show the more times you repeat, draw a brick and move, the more bricks you have. And it's just drawing that many bricks. The outer loop is just drawing an additional brick for each time it repeats. So you can see how you could expand on that even further. If you know how to draw a brick, and you know how to draw a brick followed by another brick, you could draw a whole row of bricks. And once you know how to draw a whole row of bricks, you can add another loop, maybe go up in Y value, and draw an extra row of bricks on top of that. Now the way I have it set up is they're also slightly offset, and there's one less brick on every other row. Now that it makes it a little bit more complex, but in the end, all you're really doing is draw a brick, draw a row of bricks made out of those individual bricks, then go up and draw another row, and then go up and draw another row, and then go up and draw another row. Or maybe in this case, set it up so that it draws 2 rows in this cluster where they're kind of offset a little bit. So a big row, go up and draw a small row, then repeat that whole process. But either way, if you break it down into smaller steps, you can see it's first drawing a rectangle, then just repeating drawing rectangles, then repeating that whole process. So it all starts with just a small step, and you expand on it. So let's go ahead and just see what that would actually look like in Scratch. So to build that, when the green flag is clicked, I'm going to have my sprite go to the bottom left of the screen. I'll pick some value, something like -150. So I'm going to want to have a starting x value around -150. And it'll be like the bottom left, so -150 to put it on the left, and then I think -150 might be okay for low enough. Just see where it goes. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And the first thing I'm just going to do is set up my pen. So I will put the pen down. I want my brick wall to be red, so I'll choose a nice brick red color. And it's in the right spot. The pen is down. I just need to draw a rectangle, something we've done before. I'm going to do this with as many repeats. I'm going to use repeats whenever I can, just to show, because the whole point is kind of to demonstrate these. You don't strictly need a repeat for this, but I'm going to use one. So I'll move 20 steps, and then turn 90 degrees, then move 10 steps and turn 90 degrees. Let me just get set up to erase. Let me try that again. That looks like a brick. So there's one brick. Now if I want to make more bricks, I can't just repeat this a bunch of times. The problem is it's going to repeat in place, right? If I just run it, it just sits there and makes a whole bunch of bricks in one place, but I want it to be a string of bricks. So what it needs to do is it needs to make a brick and then move over and make the next brick. So even if I want to repeat 10, that's fine, but I also have to tell it to move over. So I'm going to say move, and since the length of one brick is 20 steps, I just want to move to the edge of the brick, so I'll move 20 steps, one brick length. So now I have a row of bricks. So at that point, I would imagine the next thing I would do is set it up so it repeats this whole process, but after going up and maybe over a little bit, or repositioning it in some way. Maybe you want it to start on the left side, so you'd want it to go way over to the left. Maybe you want to do 2 rows first and then repeat that process. At this point, I'm going to leave it up to you. This is a problem for you to solve. I took you this far, and now it's up to you to figure out how to connect those rows together to make multiple rows and build it all the way up to a whole brick wall.